Hello, my name is Faris and I will discuss on the background of St. Elmo's fire.
I'm Chia and I will present the fundamental processes and concept of San Elmo's fire.
Hello, my name is Nick Nazifa, and I will be presenting the characteristic of St. Elmo's fire.
Hi, my name is Nii Yohanis and I'll be discussing on the experimental setup and the results.
Hello, I am Muhammad Alif Aiman and I will be presenting on our discussion and summarizing what is St. Elmo's fire.
St. Elmo's fire is a spectacular natural phenomenon that takes its name from Saint Erasmus of Formia, also known as Saint Elmo, who is the patron saint of sailors. The bright blue or violet glow that appears on the tips of pointed objects during a thunderstorm is caused by the ionization of air molecules. So, historically, sailors believed that the appearance of St. Elmo's fire was a good omen, signaling the end of a storm and a safe return to the port. In addition to its scientific name, St. Elmo's fire is also known as the witch fire. The phenomenon is a type of coronal discharge, which occurs when a current flows through a gas and ionizes it, resulting in a bright glow. The scientific understanding of St. Elmo's fire was made possible by physicist William Crookes in 1879 through his vacuum tube project. He discovered that when a high voltage was applied to a gas in a vacuum, it resulted in the formation of a bright, glowing plasma. Well, it is important to note that St. Elmo's fire does not literally burn, but it can affect electrical equipment and can cause damage to sensitive instruments if it occurs close to them. It is usually observed during thunderstorms, but it can also be seen in volcanic eruptions and around aircraft in flight.
How does San Elmo's fire occur? The friction between clouds generates many electrons, causing thunderstorms. This will generate high electric fields between the clouds and the ground. High electric fields are concentrated at sharp points, such as the mast of a ship. Hence, high number of electrons are accumulated around the sharp point. When the voltage around the sharp point is sufficiently high, around 30 kV per centimeter, the electrons around the sharp point are accelerated to strip electrons from atoms in the air. This is what we call as ionization. This will leave behind high number of charged ions around the sharp point. Once the air around the sharp point has partially transformed into plasma, it produces faint glow continuously in blue or violet with hissing sound.
Next, we will discuss on the characteristic of St. Elmo's fire. St. Elmo's fire is the result of electrical discharge into the surrounding region from a pointed object. It is actually a variety of coronal discharge. So, we can say that the characteristic of St. Elmo's fire will be likely the same as coronal discharge. The first point is the differences in charge between the air and the charged particle can lead to this St. Elmo's fire phenomenon. When the Elmo's fire becomes charged and an electrical potential strong enough to cause a gas discharge, therefore the gas begins to glow. The St. Elmo's fire usually forms around the sharp object as it has a higher tendency of the discharge process. Next, the color of glow can be seen during this phenomenon occurs, and it depends on the type of gas involved. Since our atmosphere is nitrogen and oxygen, the mixture glows of blue or violet will be radiated. The St. Elmo's fire will likely occur at dry snow, new thunderstorm, and electrical power lines due to the differences in charge between the air and charged particle. Moreover, as this phenomenon occurs, it also produces the audible noise such as cracking and hissing.
In order to get the full potential of a corona effect, we use a Tesla coil to generate the high voltage needed. First and foremost, the circuit is arranged as the figure shown. Then, the space is set between the cloud and ship at a range of 5 centimeters. Next, the circuit is switched on and input voltage is raised, so the inception voltage between the cloud and mass space is created by the output voltage. Then, voltage wave and magnitude is recorded. The input voltage is continuously raised from the inception voltage point to create the corona brush discharge voltage from the output voltage. And again, the voltage wave and magnitude is recorded. At this point, we can see spark discharge coming from the peak of the ship. The discharge is then recorded even though there is no brush discharge inside. Then, the input voltage is then again continuously raised until the breakdown point is reached by the output voltage. The voltage waveform and magnitude is then recorded. After that, the circuit is switched off and it is grounded. Then the experiment is then repeated for various magnitudes of spaces between the cloud and the ship high pole points for 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 centimeters. Moving on the results, let's focus on the Tesla coil part as it produces better discharge, which showcases St. Elmo's fire the most. As we can see from the results, the minimum inception for the Tesla coil operates at voltage of 10 to 33.85 kilovolts to produce corona phenomenon at the peak of the classic ship. As we can see from the graphs shown, Tesla coil produces data which are far more stable than the other methods. For further explanation on the corona discharge, I'll pass the presentation to Alif.
So, St. Elmo's fire appears as blue eerie flames on the tips of a ship mast while traveling the sea due to the ions at the mast being imbalanced due to gain or loss of electrons. This imbalance rips apart molecules in the air, producing a soft hissing sound, which releases EM energy and glows for several minutes. This is known as St. Elmo's fire. The reduced surface area at the mast tips are perfect due to the less requirement of potential energy for the opposite charges to attract each other. In a lab, St. Elmo's fire appears after a minimum inception voltage of 10 to 33.85 kilovolts, which is applied to the classic ship gap between 5 to 30 centimeters until a spark over voltage, which creates a corona phenomenon or early streamer. This was done using a Tesla generator, which operates at a lower voltage than the HVDC and HVAC, but generates higher voltage and frequency, which reaches the breakdown point easier. To conclude, St. Elmo's fire is a phenomenon that occurs when ions at the tips of ships' masts are imbalanced. This appears as blue flames and produces a soft hissing sound which releases EM energy. It is usually seen while at sea on ship masts, and in a laboratory setting, it can be created with a Tesla generator with a minimum inception voltage of 10 to 33.85 kilovolts. St. Elmo's fire does not pose any threats to living things, so it is perfectly safe to see because it is a very beautiful phenomenon. That is all for us. Thank you.